slime, the traditional blue slime that's usually the pushover, with something like the Dragon Lord 2 Breath that takes away anywhere from 64 to 72 hit points of damage. And we're going to see how things are getting started here as the king is giving the instructions, and we shall see what is in the first 3 treasure chests. The one in the upper right is the magic key that'll help them get out of the throne room. But along with it, we've got some big bucks, always a good way to start, and a torch to help them light the way in caves.
No spells and no good stats. Lord of the Synth just realized the bad news.
Well, thankfully their mics are muted. Otherwise, we may not. They may want to. Well, we don't want to necessarily hear what's said there. And up to NG bringing up an interesting point in chat, noting that you may want to re-roll the gold, meaning that chest is usually randomized between 500 to 750 gold, and with it being on the low end, especially below 560, that could prevent Lord of the Synth early on from finding, if there's a nearby town, finding the hand axe, which would give them, I believe it's 15 attack power, which they desperately could need. It would quadruple their total.
Our runners starting off effectively at Florida, but they gotta work their way through the rest of the state if they want to find a better town.
Yeah, in this case, Miami not looking so good here, as we've got scorpions that, well, Retro Omega able to run away from there. We've got ghosts. Pretty, well, you would think easy early on enemies, and a quick reset for Lord of the Synth. Saving ahead of time here, trying to avoid those early deaths and, well, not even so much avoiding the deaths, but avoiding the stern talking to from the king that takes up a little bit of time, as far as the also the death music as well. Retro Omega, meanwhile, moving to the north and west here, perhaps looking for Orlando, I suppose, in this Floridian start.
Unfortunately, we had problems at the Everglades.
Oh, those swamp scorpions tend to... Well, actually, there doesn't seem to be a lot of... You would think that for the proverbial Everglades that there'd be a lot of swamp, and for once there isn't.
That's actually a good point, Ferran. I didn't think of that, and I should know. I have family in Florida.
So, some tough enemies, at least here in the early going, at least you would think. I believe both of our runners still looking to get on the board in terms of experience. They're looking to get to 5 experience to gain a level and gain some stats, and oh, Lord of the Synth not in a good part of town there, as he's out of that initial zone and finds a wolf, one of those mid-level enemies. Meanwhile, we found out that the magician has the traditional fire breath that generally does between about 18 to 25 hit points of damage, and considering if their max is 13, that's essentially an insta-kill.
Chat is having a hard time believing what's going on right now. And so am I here. Okay, the not Everglades has nothing. We have to walk and hope for the best. Oh, there is some actual swamp.
So it just happened to be closer to, I don't know, Tallahassee or Jacksonville, as dueling deaths here as a wolf and a warlock take out both of our players.
And here is where Lord of the Synth's strategy to save is coming in play. Every time you take a death, you lose half of your gold, unless you reset. So, all of that gold that Retro Omega X had gained early on, it's just gone. Or, well, it's certainly going gone. While, well, the Bank of Tangiel is still holding on to Lord of the Synth's money thanks to time travel shenanigans, basically.
Yep, the frequent resetting certainly helping and preserve that gold. And, I mean, Retro Omega X theoretically could reset and kind of start from scratch here and not really lose a lot of ground and hold on to that proverbial gold. Lord of the Synth, a bit more of an experienced player.
Smashy suggested may have to fight a Drakey. Retro did earlier, or at least tried to, but ran away before the killing blow could be landed. Assuming, of course, that Drakeys are weak enough for that. Drakeys, I believe in the vanilla game, have 5 HP, so as long as you don't get unlucky, it is possible. We just have to hope that Drakeys don't have, hurt more or something.
Yeah, here the randomizer Drakeys have about 4 or 5 hit points. That's kind of at random with each encounter.
Oh, Lord of the Synth saw a town, but unfortunately the toll guard says no.
Ooh, taken out by the knife, but at least that is some knowledge. And now it's pretty much a foot race to get there. A foot race in dodging the hurdles that seem to be knights and warlocks and wolves. Oh my.
The problem? I mean, if we're gonna keep up the analogy about where we started, Florida traffic is not easy to go through. I don't know if you'd rather take the turnpike or the interstate.
Always a devastating challenge, no matter where you are here. And the adversary, welcome to you here, as we're 6 minutes and change in and have not found a whole lot here. As Lord of the Synth trying to run away from a metal slime and does so, as Scorpions with the spell of sleep, so Retro Omega getting slept and wrecked.
Oh, and that was a warlock, I believe, that had the first go immediate reset. And just, oh my gosh. And I'm curious here, how much attack can a metal slime do, assuming no crazy spell shenanigans?
Well, it looks like they have a strength of 10.
Okay. Attack power of 10 compared to the Drakey, who I know we've seen, that has...
Drakey has...
Go ahead.
So it's only stronger than a Drakey, so that... That's a coin flip, so yeah, I mean, you would probably do about as well trying to fight a metal slime as you would a Drakey, but the difference in experience is 3 for the Drakey versus 255 for the metal slime.
That, of course, assumes that you can even hit the metal slime 3 times before it runs away.
Well, given the low strength of our runners, it's pretty much a coin flip with the Drakeys as well.
Well, we know which this seed is going into the Hall of Pain. Oh boy. Retro is almost out of gold, if not already out of gold. 1 left.
Well, now a metal slime here on Lord of the Synth, and he's not opting to fight it. He's opting to run away. He just has this tunnel vision on the town, and oh, metal slimes have hurt more. That changes the game there. All right, back to the Drakeys it is.
Oh my gosh, what did I roll? Kaiten, where are you? I needed your luck. And Captain Green, I swear I did not hit the Chaos Mode flag when I rolled this.
No, these are, yeah, the enemy's statistics are not randomized in terms of the strength, the agility, the hit points, the experience, and the gold. No, it is traditional. It's just the way that the seed has been rolled with the low, basically everything in terms of stats for our players. And and the great distance to get to a town, it certainly feels like a chaos seed where there's just deaths throughout the first half hour or so, which I hope it doesn't get to that point. Let's see if Lord of the Synth can get to that town. And I know I'm going to commentator's curse this by saying it, but let's hope that that town is not Hawksness.
Alright, Retro Mega hanging in the not Everglades is fighting a Drakey. Oh, hold on. Lord of the Synth is changing builds. I saw capital L. That means strength agility time is a go. It's still all red.
Yeah, the difference now is that the hit points are 1 higher and the agility is 2 lower, so it almost seems like it's a detriment in that regard.
Maybe we should consider the fabled MP agility build? I mean, there'll be a penalty later on, but maybe the initial boost at this point?
There's a question in chat about the. I don't know if there is a strength MP build. I can't say I've ever seen that. I could be wrong.
There are 4 build types within the game. There is strength HP, strength agility, agility MP, and HP MP.
So Lord of the Synth now trying to avoid the desert as there is a higher encounter rate and runs into an Axe Knight and gets sniped. So I think Lord of the Synth just kind of flipping and toying with the different builds here just to try to find some semblance of an advantage here in the early going.
And the adversary does confirm the build types. Yeah, there is no strength MP, folks. Likewise, there is no agility HP. It's only 4 instead of the combination of 6.
Which makes sense. I mean, back in the days of the programming, pretty much everything was in some sort of increment of 4, or 8, or 16, or 64, or 256, something like that.
Exactly. So, Smashy brings up a good point. At this rate, we may have to deal with the potential of a reroll. Now, the rules of rerolls, I'll admit, I haven't dealt with them much, if at all, during my entire commentary restream career. Technically, we had to deal with it in round 1 of the Swiss stage, but that was due to just a unintentional glitch here. If our runners choose to discuss it and go for a reroll, we can do it. I don't know if we'll necessarily have the rematch literally right now, though in all honesty we may have to. But
yeah, I think it would just be a matter of pausing a few minutes and then just re-rolling the seed, getting everybody set up, and then we would just go right here. So there'd be maybe about a 5-minute pause to prep everything for the re-rolling of the seed, prepare the statistics, everything of that nature. I think, ran into that in the Chaos mode, the Chaos tournament earlier this year.
I just saw a build change. And it looks like Lord of the Synth is back to strength HP.
Yeah, going back to the initial plan of capital J, and up to NG, yes. Lord of the Synth did see a town heading north and to the west, or north by northwest, and it has been a challenge to get there, as there have been a litany of warlocks and wolves and knights and even axe knights that have prevented their path, and now even metal scorpions as well.
So, first question, can we get to that town? Second of all, what is in that town?
Well, the adversary noting that unless it's Cole with the Erdrick's armor on the ground, that it's not really going to help, as they're not really able to farm gold. If, and Smashy noting here, if, let's say, that town has a copper sword or a hand axe available, although Lord of the Synth does not have enough for the hand axe, having drawn the gold in the throne room and only getting 541, the hand axe costing 560, so that could be rather disheartening if Lord of the Synth gets all the way to that town after all these attempts, 16 minutes in, and then some, and then finds out that there's a hand axe there that could quadruple his attack power, but he does not have enough gold for it by 19 gold.
Hold on. I think Retro sees the town. And gets in! It's Garanham! Thank you!
So there we go, almost 16 and a half minutes in, and the first access to the town, I think
Farron, you may have to say that again, but I think Chad is also confirming what you were trying to say. What can you do in a town with no money? We can at least see the shop. Bamboo pole, copper sword, chainmail, small shield. At the very least, if we had the gold for it, we could purchase all of that. Lord of the Synth does have that. But Retro Mega is pressing on and runs into a Magiwyvern with Dragon Lord 2 breath. Ouch!
So as I'm doing the calculations here, well, Lord of the Synth would probably behoove Lord of the Synth to, again, try to get a little bit, maybe start over and try to get a little bit more gold, as if he was able to get 570 gold as opposed to the 541 that he currently has. Once he gets to Garanham, that would be enough to get a copper sword, chainmail, and a small shield.
Never expected the first gold chest to make such a difference here. But Chad is now bringing up an excellent point. With the multitude of races available on SRL, some of them have different rules than others. In Randomizer, resetting is allowed. Starting your game over is allowed. Your timer still will technically run according to SRL time, but Retro may not know that he's allowed to go ahead, change his build, or just reset and hope for a better gold pickup.
And save the time of having to get the death music and getting the lecture from the king and things of that nature.
Lord of the Synth just took out a Scorpion, but could not get in town in time. Which means some of that gold is now gone.
I think that was a ghost that was taken out, as there's now 4 experience, so you have to wonder, if you're Lord of the Synth, do you take that gold hit and go for the experience?
Oh, that's a good point. Not only ghost instead of Scorpion, I was viewing the wrong screen, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the Scorpions are a little tough to handle, not only because of the low strength, but they have that sleep spell, so you can easily get slept and wrecked. But now just going death for death, and now down to just 69 gold, so that's going to be barely enough for a bamboo pole once he gets there. That's just going to be an additional 2 attack power. But Lord of the Synth gets slept and wrecked.
And he's just playing on at this point.
So this has been a tough Zone 0 build for enemies where, I mean, our runners can get any 5 of the first 7 enemies of the game. There was Slime, the Red Slime, the Drakey, the Ghost, the Magician, the Magidrakey, and the Scorpion. And it looks like thus far, I mean, I know we've seen a lot of Scorpions, a lot of Drakeys. It could be possible the Scorpion builds in there twice, and now Lord of the Synth just trying to go after a Drakey and not able to do so, and there's another death. Meanwhile, Retro Omega is going after a Ghost and doesn't quite have the power to do it.
And remember, folks, it's the runners that have to decide if they want to re-roll or press on. But at some point, we have to wonder if there's going to be a breaking point.
We've got different strategies and analysis being brought in chat. Eternal Newbie noting that Lord of the Synth might be trying to get to level 2, find out what statistical gains there are, and if they aren't anything nominal, then reset and go back to the trying to get to Garanham with some gold strategy. Meanwhile, the adversary looks like they're presenting options of either resetting until you get to Garanham with enough gold for the Copper Sword and maybe some defense, or swing at Metal Slimes and pray for a critical hit that'll jump you up pretty much from level 1 to level 6.
And hope they don't cast Hurt More in the interim.
True, there is that. And, well, speak of Hurt More in the interim, there is a Metal Slime casting it on Retro's side.
So, Lord of the Synth trying to take out... Emphasis on try to take out the Ghost. We've only had one enemy defeat so far, as we're approaching 23 minutes. I didn't realize it was... I mean, this is... I mean, we made the comparison earlier of the state of Florida. In order to travel from the north end of Florida to the south end of Florida, assuming traffic is actually somewhat decent, we're talking 7 to 8 hours. This is effectively our equivalent of traveling through Florida right now to get to the Georgia border.
And they seem to be stopped midway through, and we're quickly learning that it is not a small world after all. Yes, boo this man. Go for it.
Don't worry, I'm chuckling.
A little bit of levity so far as we're approaching 25 minutes, and we have pretty much as much progress as we had 25 minutes ago.
Eternal Newbie is now asking about reroll possibilities. In particular, is there a specific time for it? It's all on the runners. The only reason why I, as the Yeoman, effectively, can interfere in a race is if there is an actual technical problem. And technically, there's no problem, but it's still a problem that I have effectively rolled one of the worst seeds ever.
Yeah, if there is a mechanical or electronic issue, that's one thing. But if it's just that the seed is, is not really up to par, then that's where that comes into play. And the adversary making a great point too is that most people don't want to be the one to ask for a reroll, because then it tips the hand that you may not be doing as well as your opponent is. And JJ Schmidt, there was certainly quite a something rolled here, as in the... Oh, the adversary saying Wolfman, that's what we rolled. That's a little harsh.
I swear, I have rolled fast seeds in this tournament.
So, I think we're in a good time for a recap here, and a pretty short one at that. So, in the throne room, our runners found a chest of gold, as well as the torch and the magic key to get out. They have no spells to their name, and initially, both of our runners still with the strength HP build. As you can see, all that red there, that they are subpar in strength, agility, hit points, magic points, attack, and defense. And there have been some problems, to say the least, with the enemies in Zone 0, as the Drakies, well, I believe, I was going to say, have they encountered anything other than attacking? I'm not too sure. But the Scorpions, they have had sleep and have been getting our players slept and wrecked along the way. At one point, Lord of the Synth actually had attempted a different build and went for Strength Agility, which started off with 4 agility instead of 6 and 14 hit points instead of 13. But it has pretty much been all death since there. Retro Omega got all the way up to Garenham, which is probably about 30 paces north, maybe another 10 west of Tanagel Castle, but in dying as often as had been done, got there with no money.
That and the lack of spells is really hurting. The lack of everything is really hurting. And I am going to be banned from rolling seeds at this rate, even with some of the fast ones I've rolled. Somebody call Angry Larry, let him know I have a possible competition with him.
Oh, stop, Wolfman. You're banned from rolling seeds about as often as George Jetson was fired.
Thank you, Mr. Spacely.
Wolfman, you're rolling another seed. I don't know. Oh gosh, and ghosts have heal more.
I think someone had asked about a breaking point. We've hit it. All of us have hit it. Even the runners have hit it. Hold on a second. We're gonna get this straightened out.
Dataplan asking reroll percent. I don't know. I think the odds of that are quickly growing, but yeah, that is well, okay. Both of our runners have stopped here. I think there may be some conversation going on, as we are now 28.5 minutes into this seed, and with the exception of a ghost kill on Lord of the Synth side, both of our runners have gone absolutely nowhere, but in a death loop.
It is official. This seed is in the Hall of Pain. We're doing a reroll right now. So, in the meantime, let's go to Drogon Lordovision.
Alright, so we're going to take a brief respite here, and we are going to reset the seeds. And future sight, yes, the runners are the ones who have to suggest and essentially both agree to a reroll. And I just have the link up there to the Discord. Feel free to follow the Discord, and there's actually a section that is, it is accounting for different seeds. Seeds of torture or delight. This will definitely go into the former.
I'm putting it in now.
Why not? So yeah, this will definitely qualify in there to say the least.
Alright. I am banned from rolling this one. So we're gonna have Chitin619 attempt to share luck here, so...
Yeah, this particular seed was the equivalent of whammying out in round 1 for the Press Your Luck fans out there. So at the moment we are, yes, we are reticulating slimes and hopefully getting some that, actually, well, now that the seed is, well, actually, to say, now, I could give some commentator spoilers on it, but I think there are a few of you who want to endure that on your own, so I won't throw it out there. But the fact that we saw Ghosts with Heal More, Scorpions with Sleep, and I believe Metal Slimes with Hurt More, that's just some of the challenges that await here. But that seed is now in the books, and we'll come back in a matter of moments here and see what comes up in the new seed.
Okay, Chitin619 has rolled this one, so hopefully none of the craziness this time. The stats are currently showing the previous seed, so give me a moment and we'll actually load up the new one. Well, 4 red is better than 6?
So we have a slight improvement.
Also, I need to reset the timer, which is a rare thing for me to have to do on this. Oh my gosh.
And I'm going through and getting a new stat sheet here because that one, well, that one's going to be incinerated as soon as we're done here.
For those that are asking about the Seeds of Torture, in the Dragon Warrior Randomizer Discord, check the racing subsection. I've already posted it in there. So, enjoy it at your own peril, folks? I mean, already I've basically gotten a reaction of, Rip Link. Oh boy, so, Chitin, this one's on you.
Alright, so both of our runners have the setup here again. And I'm going to refresh here and see if we have the new info. Oh, that's right, that's what Wolfman is working on currently.
New info should already show up for you.
Oh, okay, yeah, it is there. The first thing that I saw looked very similar to the last one. I just was like, all right, is that? But no, that is in fact something different here.
Alright, our runners are receiving the countdown, and we are about to find out what's going to happen. Again, I don't know the rules if we have to have a second reroll, so we may need to get a tournament admin in here to confirm this, but hopefully we don't need it. The runners see their countdown and, well, let's hope we end up in a better location than Florida.
So it's not often that you see a reroll, but occasionally these things do happen, and as noted, the previous seed has entered the Mark Henry Hall of Pain. And now we are back underway here, and let's see what we have in the throne room. Maybe something a little bit better here than the money and torch from the previous seed. So we've got a torch. Well, that's okay. Erdrick's token. All right, one of the essential collectible items in the game that are needed to finish. Already on there. We have no spells and low attack and defense once again.
However, there's a difference. Oh, no! No, Kaiten! What have you done?
Oh, we look to be pretty well swamp locked. Oh, but there's a town to the south, but I don't know if it's accessible with the hit points that they have. What a tease! And metal slimes with the spell of hurt.
I swear that Kaiten did not roll a big swamp seed.
Well, I guess one seed's trash is another seed's treasure. I don't know. And we've got magicians with stop spell. Not that it matters. Our runners don't have any spells yet anyway. So now it looks like it's a battle in the desert just north of the castle.
And the viewers at home are perplexed. Kaiten rolled one of his first tournament seeds last night, and it was sub-hour.
So, by the law of averages...
Yeah, the law of averages are not our friend. However, there is minor solace. There are blue slimes available in the desert. So, just hope you run into 5 of those.
That's a big hope. And our racer saying hopefully level 2 has a useful spell like Radiant. Well, given that there is that cave south of the castle, Radiant may not be as useless as sarcastically indicated.
Alright, at least both runners have actually taken out a blue slime, so we're at least on relatively even footing this early-ish in the run, but... Oh, man. I don't know the spell order. Full disclaimer, there is no spell order loading feature within our, special stuff here. But right now, our runners basically need everything.
Alrighty, and wow, slimes have Dragon Lord breath.
That doesn't help.
Did that slime Archfield Monk? Yes, that slime did.
Every seed, every match in this tournament has a story. The story right now... Can we even turn a page?
Well, it kind of is a challenge when the book is encrypted. So I think it's more so the deciphering of it before we can turn the page.
Depending on which universe we're talking about, most of our runners would prefer not to deal with a book here. Though, ironically, the Zelda Pentaforce tournament that's going on, that book is needed for decrypting the old men rather than the old men decrypting the book.
Indeed.
I hear victory. We have level 2. Power 8, speed 2, hit points 14, MP 23.
And no spells with which to use all those MP.
But the strength gain of 8.
So there we go. If you include the last seed, we finally have our first level up about 43 minutes into this race. With a reroll kind of turn in between.
Do we even want to include the first race on this one?
No, it's just more so for that dubious bit of fun, I suppose. Oh, and Retro getting roasted once again.
Kaiten is asking if this seed has been redeemed, or if the rolling ability has been redeemed. Ask the others. I have no clue what would be considered a proper redemption seed. Right now, we at least have an excellent level 2. And getting to that level 2 is allowing Lord of the Synth to fight very well against these enemies, and thus we should see level 3 shortly.
Just kind of picking the slimes apart one at a time, able to one-shot them, but oh, not enough to take out the Drakey for Retro Omega. Icarus FW noting in chat, roasted Omega X. And I almost feel ashamed that I didn't think of that first.
Retro is not going after Drakeys right now, wants the slimes only. But I think Lord of the Synth did take out a Drakey, though. At least on the climb to level 2.
And now Lord of the Synth going to try for a ghost here, which isn't too bad all things considered. I mean, attacking between 2 and 4, so it's probably going to be a 3, maybe a 4 shot, and a 3 shot here, and we've got level 3.
And a spell. Sleep.
Well, that might allow Lord of the Synth to be able to put a Scorpion, for example, to sleep. And, well, who knows where that'll, that might, or a Magician. Here we go. So just little things like that, as now that, well, it gives another 8 experience, as now the next target level for experience, it's going to be 35 experience, so Lord of the Synth can just take out this Magician here with Sleep, and boom, all of a sudden you're right up there for a level 4. Meanwhile, a Metal Slime not able to be taken out.
And folks, stop spelling hurt more.
Well, that'll open things up.
Oh! Retro was able to get into the cave, but it's the jerk! Now here's the question, when he spawns, can he go into town?
Yeah, because he'll be on top of the cave, so he'll just be able to walk 1 to the west. As long as there's not a miss key, we're in the town and it's Breckenary!
Oh, boy!
And Z-Man, having come in here, yeah, it was a Drek of a Seed that had a long walk to the town. Oh, and now Retro Omega realizing, the only really way out here is death, and that's exactly what is being done. But yes, for those of you just joining us and confused as to why we're 10 minutes into this seed that was supposed to have started 45 minutes ago, we did have a re-roll, as there was one town that was a lengthy walk away, probably a couple of zones away, and our runners were just getting obliterated there, and a lot of the early zone enemies having some nasty spells and abilities, and there was one enemy kill in the roughly almost half hour that seed had been run. And now here is level 5 for Lord of the Synth.
Not a good one, though. And Retro... Oh, we find a red slime! I don't think we've seen that yet.
Well, this should be interesting. Oh, red slimes have hurt.
Better than hurt more, at least.
This is true. Or better than the Dragon Lord 2 breath that the blue slimes have.
Amazing Toaster asks, was there anything wrong with the Drakey? Just bad luck or bad voodoo, effectively, on Retro Mega's part. I haven't seen the Drakey fire a spell, but Drakey's kinda hurt a bit, especially if you are unable to land any actual attacks. Because sometimes when you swing, the attack just fails. I don't remember why that happens. That may have to do with attack and defense calculations, but you never want to see an attack that fails with no loss of life. Alright, good news. Brickanary has some basic equipment. Bamboo pole and cloth. Also the silver shield if we actually do end up grinding here. And now Retro can breathe easy.
So it took about 12.5 minutes, a bit of a challenge here, and well, now getting the Dragon Scale, so once Lord of the Synth puts that on, that will add 2 defense points to the total. And already, 58 magic points at level 5.
I did not see the Dragon Scale equipped, so it is not marked as such. But now, where do you go from here?
Well, you have options. You can go, looks like to the east or west. The south looks to be waterlocked.
Well, Lord of the Synth is exploring, finds a Demon Knight.
And the Demon Knight says, nope, back to the castle you go.
Retro is at least able to fight some more enemies. Chooses to run from the Scorpion. I would have attempted it at that point. I mean, unless we missed the Scorpion have something extremely bad.
Nah, Scorpion just looks to be a little tough for level 2, but otherwise not that problematic.
Now a wizard instead. A wizard with hurt, but fortunately not causing too many problems. Hopefully Retro X is able to get this.
A magician with hurt, okay.
Oh, magician, my mistake. Why was I thinking...
I don't know. They kind of look like dark clothed wizard's robes, I suppose.
That may have been it.
So now
Fortunately...
to level 3, and we've got a sleep spell for Retro.
And a Drakima defeat leads to a level up for Lord of the Synth. 2, 4, 8, 4. Repel. Fortunately, Retro is using that sleep spell to his advantage. Able to take out the Magician.
And now we're going to start to see some gains here. So here comes level 4 for Retro.
Which means, hello, Hurtmore.
So now if you're Retro here, you're just trying to hurt more as many well, I was going to say, you can't really go too far from where you are in the swamp, so he's going to take a death here and then start to meander onward.
And, oh... This is... a big patch of swamp with another town. I do believe Lord of the Synth has enough to make it in. Yeah, definitely does. Going to have to go in. As long as the droll doesn't interfere. It's Rimmildar.
Oh, we've got Rimmildar, yes.
And has enough to buy some keys, so here's the question. Do you have enough to buy 4 keys? If you do not, then do you go for that one chest?
Well, he should have enough to buy 4 keys, yes. If they're 53 apiece, so 4 keys would be 212. Actually would have enough to buy 5, I believe.
I always forget that, since this is not a Chaos Seed, the prices, if they are randomized, they're not randomized very much.
But no, in this case, there's no Chaos randomization, so all the prices of the weapons and armor are the standard. So 5 keys here, I would imagine, for Lord of the Synth. And Z-Man saying in chat to buy all those keys and then death warp back to the treasury to see what is in Tangential Castle.
Well, we're gonna see that chest first. More gold. Was there something in the store? No, we're not going to the store. Lord of the Synth is going to rest and I guess try to preserve the remaining gold. Or, no, trying to shop, but apparently there's a line to buy all the goods.
So that was interesting. So Lord of the Synth stayed at the inn, and then went around to purchase keys, left the town, came back, and stayed at the inn again.
And by doing that, that was 110 gold lost. We could have had a large shield purchase.
And now up to level 5 goes Retro.
Alright, Lord of the Synth topping off on keys.
Okay. Well, thank you, Locklear in chat. appreciate the fact that you're enjoying us here on commentary alongside Wolfman 2000. I'm Ferran Burgundy.
And we have our two runners, Retro Mega X and Lord of the Synth, that have already tried one seed and basically said, nope, I'm banned from rolling seeds for a bit. Please follow them and show your support for the fact that they're willing to persevere through a different seed, and the fact that I hopefully won't get banned too much from seed rolling.
Alright, we've got level 7 here on Lord of the Synth side.
Oh boy! That was a level up. That was 31 hit points, I believe.
Wow, there's some endurance. That'll help a little bit.
S-Diesel, the first seed was effectively a double forfeit to immediate reroll. And in this case, there was time to go for a reroll, but who would want to? Trust me, the original seed was placed in the Hall of Pain. If you want to try it yourself, head to the Discord, and you will see the seed that I literally just put in there.
Yeah, I can assure you, Wolfman, that there are some of those, dare I say, borderline masochistic individuals that are salivating at the thought of giving that seed a try on their own.
That does not comfort me. Not with that seed, no.
Well, I did see, I think I saw a comment that was briefly there and then disappeared almost as quickly. I won't dime out the individual who had posted it, but who had noted a few of the early spots on it and apparently didn't have nearly as much trouble. But, I don't know, we'll save that for another time. Here is in the treasury, we've got the dragon scale, we've got the death necklace, we've got a torch, and we've got an empty chest, which means that would be an herb. So that means that the possibility of a gold grind, not quite there. And yes, Seeds of Torture or Delight is where that is. It was posted by Wolfman a little bit ago. So now Lord of the Synth is heading to the back of Tanagel Castle, and we shall see where that leads to. And using one of the torches, it looks like it is Swamp North.
Well, at least we have a way to get to the other end. It may be a second continent, it may not.
Well, let's see if Lord of the Synth can make it here, although having the Hurt More spell certainly can assist. And it leads to the back of Garanham. Ooh. So that means access to 3 more chests. Which we've got the Fairy Water, that works the same as the Repel spell. We've got some big bucks, and we have the Stones of Sunlight. That is one of the other essential items, as now Retro up to level 6.
Of course, you still need a key to actually leave Garanham that way, or you could have considered leaving Garanham through the back and re-entering. But instead, let's see what we're purchasing today.
A hand axe, so that's going to increase the attack by an additional 13 over the bamboo pole, 15 versus the 2 for the bamboo pole. And And Z-Man noting that, yes, it does make a rather wonky gold grind available if our runners look to do so. They could go into the throne room and account for those 3 chests there. They could raid the treasury, head on through the swamp cave, come out onto the other side, and as long as they don't open that upper middle chest first, they will have enacted the gold grind. Meaning that they can take the chest of gold over and over and over again in succession to rack up big bucks really quickly.
However, I think what we need is bigger attack power. Ooh, that is interesting. That is the Staff of Rain cave that Lord of the Synth just found. In order to get the Staff of Rain, you need the Silver Harp, which is the only other key item, at least as far as required stuff to get into Charlotte Castle, we need.
Well, Retro Omega was going after a Stone Man and trying to go with a Sleep and Hurtmore combination. Generally, Hurtmore works about 50-50 on the Stone Man, and Sleep, well, they're very easy to put to sleep, but it woke up at just the wrong time for Retro, and that sent him back to the castle. As now Lord of the Synth has hit level 8.
We have Power 8, Speed 6, Hit Points, Empty Eye. We're gonna have a word with you. MP 6.
But now you can see with that Hurtmore spell, Lord of the Synth able to take out some of the more challenging mid to upper level enemies, and now in the Vanilla Stones of Sunlight Cave, we have more big bucks.
Retro Mega X wishing he had some big bucks and a spin there. Unfortunately, that was a whammy.
Well, Retro seems to be, I don't know if it's intentional trying to go after the Stone Man, but I think as far as enemies go, there are a lot better choices, especially given how early on it is for him. Now, he may just be trying to make lemon out of lemonades, but I think this might be the time to, as they said in Portal 2, to make some combustible lemons and burn the house down.
Well, hopefully we won't have any houses burned or exploded into lemony goodness, as Lord of the Synth takes out a skeleton and Retro runs into another Stone Man whammy.
So, Lord of the Synth into another cave here, and with the utilization of the torch, we see...
That's Garen's grave.
That is Garen's grave.
Garen's grave has 3 chests at the top that Lord of the Synth is heading to right now. We have some wings. We have an herb. And a cursed belt. There are 2 more chests, but we need to spend a key and walk a fair bit to get.
Retro now working on escaping the area as he sees that the desert to the southeast of Tanagal is rather waterlocked, and oh good, able to get away from the Stone Man there.
But Lord of the Synth unable to get away from the Red Dragon. The Red Dragon has an interesting nickname as mentioned by Amazing Toaster. Fun Police. The reason why? Well, apparently when the Red Dragon shows up, it's as if the fun just stops.
And now Lord of the Synth getting into some trouble with the Stone Man, and he's going to get sent back.
Alright, Retro is recharging at the Breckenary Inn, probably just going to get some health and hopefully find another town at this point. Or maybe he has enough gold. Let's see, 256. No improvements available yet.
Meanwhile, Lord heading back to the castle, perhaps to head on through to the other end. Now, I wonder if Lord of the Synth knows about the potential gold grind here, because theoretically, Synth could enact that heading through to Garenham, but is opting not to.
To enable it, you would have to open the 4 chests in the treasury, and then one more non-gold chest in Garenham, and then you can keep on opening the gold chest over and over and over, right?
That is correct. Yeah, it involves a visit to the throne room as well to enact those 3. But yes, it's a less conventional form than a lot of our runners are used to. And, I mean, Lord of the Synth, while not an inexperienced runner, also isn't one of the more experienced runners either, so perhaps not necessarily contemplating that strategy.
We have a green dragon instead for Lord of the Synth.
Ooh, that does not take the hurt more, and Lord goes back here.
Also, my apologies, I had missed Retro go up to level 7 there.
Oh, I'd picked up on it. It happened a little over 2 minutes ago. And has been kind of tinkering with some of the lower level enemies, trying to get some exploration in.
And for those that are wondering why we're not seeing some gold grinds, we have to remember that these are 2 of our newer runners when it comes to Dragon Warrior Randomizer. Just to give a little bit of additional background here, Retro Mega X, he's only started within the past few months, though he also did try out Final Fantasy Randomizer. Lord of the Synth is more of a veteran with randomizers in general, but actually, in that case, I'm kind of surprised. I think maybe Lord of the Synth kind of forgot about that gold grind. Either that, or maybe just didn't come to him.
Could be possible. I mean, Lord of the Synth does have some experience, actually, in the Chaos Tournament for Dragon Warrior Randomizer that occurred earlier this year, making it to the bracket stage and falling to the eventual champion, High Spirits.
Alright, Drakima going down. Retro hoping to not run into another Stone Man, and all of these swamp patches are just... wow.
So now up to level 8 goes Retro Omega, and has found a nice bit of area, taking on some tolerable enemies of some rogue scorpions and some werewolves, and that's allowed him to catch up here. Meanwhile, Lord of the Synth in Cantlin, the town with 3 weapon and armor shops, and it's essentially the shopping mall of Alfgard, of all the land.
But is it a good shopping mall?
Meanwhile, Retro has found Rimeldar, so should be able to access some keys here.
And sorry, Lord of the Synth, I do not believe there is a thievery option in this game. Now, how many herbs? Okay, 5 herbs. That should be enough to speak to the old man at the back of the Garden of Death.
And in that, there will be coordinates, potentially, that will let us know of a searchable spot in the overworld, but it is not there this time. No coordinates. So that means that one of the 3 items that are potentially in the search spots, either well, we saw that the Erdrick's token was in a chest in the throne room. So that means that, yes, Erdrick's armor is guaranteed to either be in the town of Cole, in the searchable spot 4 steps south of the Baths, or it's in the town of Hawksnest, which is guarded by an upper-level enemy.
Curious question regarding how the randomizer works. You may have just said it and I had missed it while setting up the note for the coordinates, but if there's not a key item in that spot, if one were to actually literally find it just by digging all over, would we see an herb or a torch or something? Or is there literally just nothing?
No, there literally would just be nothing. It would be in the equivalent of if you had, in the vanilla game, already found Erdrick's token and then went back to talk to the old man, he would say, "Thou must go and fight."
Gotcha. New level up. 4, 5, 10, 5. Heal more. And I think there was another spell as well. Yes, it was outside.
And it looked like we had a bit of a pause on Retro Omega's side, but now back at it here.
Considering how this seed is going, I kind of don't blame Retro trying to figure out where to go and how to plan this. This is not an easy one.
And it looks like we had a large shield purchase on Retro Omega's side.
I had missed that.
Yeah, I didn't catch the purchase, but as I saw Retro's status screen, I saw that there was the bamboo pole, the clothes, and the large shield.
Locklear, this one is a bit of a hostile seed. However, this is peanuts compared to what was attempted at the top of the hour. Top of the previous hour, I should say.
Yeah, we're 75 minutes in here, and ooh, Retro Omega finding out about the Dragon Lord breath from the werewolf.
And the reason we say 75 minutes in is because this is seed number 2. Seed number 1 was just thrown out.
And Z-Man, I wholeheartedly agree with your statement, which I cannot repeat.
Let's just say, Richard Dawson would probably not want to go there.
Survey says, lots of swamp indeed. And the Hangry Canuck, to answer your question, if you go check out the Discord, the Dragon Warrior Randomizer Discord, in the Seeds of Torture or Delight section under the racing header, it looks like, yeah, it was actually about 45 minutes ago that Wolfman had posted what this seed was. Okay, and it looks like Angry Larry was commenting on it, but moved that comment over to the spoilers section for those who opt to play it. And we have Cole for Lord of the Synth, and it has Erdrick's armor, the best armor in the game.
Well, considering all the towns with swamp by them, yeah, that's kind of a bit of relief that we don't have to worry about Hawksnest, unless we really want a fairy flute.
Oh, wow, and Retro Omega taking out a metal slime and is going to jump up to level 9 because of it.
Hope you enjoy your heal more, Retro.
Well, absolutely. Now, the experience lead, which was astronomical maybe about 10 minutes ago, it's only about 120 experience difference. I mean, that's just one enemy. And now Retro is in the back of Garanham. And Z-Man noting in chat that we may be interested in Hawk's Nest if for no other reason than it may have a good gold grind boss. Or a good grind boss, I should say. And, oh, Retro had the gold grind set up, but picked the two chests that, or picked the gold chest first, so chests 9 and 10 were the other two items, which were the fairy water and the stones of sunlight.
Don't you mean the axe ghost? I mean, I know it was really the stones of sunlight, but gotta love those interesting texts. Oh, speaking of, how about a bamboo pole instead?
Yeah, because of the glitch that's being utilized, sometimes you get some interesting items that are in that found spot. Sometimes it's the red. I know that was a fun one. Usually it's the axe ghost or the sword magician. A lot of times, once it goes to the default first item, it picks the bamboo pole. And Locklear, to answer your question, Retro Omega didn't realize it, but he ended up botching the gold grind. It was a 1 in 3 chance of picking the wrong chest, and happened to have those odds go against him.
Alright, Lord of the Synth taking the interesting route through the mountains, but effectively there's only one way to go back.
So that's just a very long and winding loop.
And a very long walk to get Erdrick's armor.
But once you do, it makes the rest of the travel not so bad.
That's... I mean, the tricky part is just getting there at this point. Retro thinking about purchasing the half-plate armor. Now, as far as stats go, that will bring the defense of the armor up to 24. No special abilities, no healing factor available. But perhaps it's that little bit needed to get to Cole. Certainly going for it.
Yeah, that looks to be the case. That's going to be an increase of 14 over the previous item. The half-plate defending for 16, or adding 16 defense points as opposed to 2 for the clothes. And we have level 10 for Lord of the Synth as well as a Sharlock sighting.
10916, I believe. So at the very least, magic points, they're good at this point. Assuming a perfect dive into Sharlock, you will have enough heal mores for a traditional battle. To at least go well against the Dragon Lord. But we kinda need the rest of this to go well here.
Well, even still, there's going to be some definite grinding going on, as Z-Man noting in chat that the strength and agility totals for both of our runners are very low. As he puts it, nauseatingly low.
Wraith Knight for Retro. Gotta love all those hurt mores being able to take out many of the enemies. However, it is not your insta-kill button. Remember that a number of enemies have resistance to hurt more. Also, I believe Lord of the Synth has found Erdrick's Cave, or the Tablet Cave as some call it.
Yeah, so this is an enemy-less walk that is heading on over to get to one treasure chest that, well, we'll see what it's going to be momentarily here once Lord of the Synth heads back along the path here.
Looked like the magic key.
That is correct. So we have a magic key in the Tablet Cave. And now Retro Omega finding the Staff of Rain Cave. So still having to find that Silver Harp. And we're quickly running out of locations as to where it could be. At this point, only 7 chests that are unaccounted for in the overworld. And 5 of them are in the Mountain Cave. The other 2 are deep in Garen's grave. And it looks like Lord of the Synth is now in the Mountain Cave.
Guess it was nearby. And already haunted by dragons. Fortunately, dragons are kind of decent to take care of as long as they don't throw out, you know, like a Hurtmore or Dragon Lord breath. First chest, it was either herb or torch, I believe, because it claimed to be empty.
Either an herb or a magic key. When you have all 6 of them in your inventory, it says that it's empty, and we've got a fairy water. Perhaps with a full inventory, we might be able to see here what might have been on the other one. As Retro now back into Garenham, and going to shop for that hand axe. Meanwhile, we've got the Silver Harp. And Erdrick's sword!
Yep.
And he's not even going to bother with the last one.
The only other item that it could have been for any use would be the fairy flute. But at this point, I don't think Lord of the Synth cares about it. Now
Either that or the fighter's ring.
Well, that too.
Hey, that little 2 extra attack power, it could make the difference here, but Z-Man noting that we are in grind and go mode for Lord of the Synth. He is pretty much going to head back to that Staff of Rain cave, and is going to trade in the Silver Harp for the Staff of Rain, and then go back to look for the Rainbow Drop Cave, also known as the Jerk Cave, and then is going to be looking for a premier spot to grind on enemies, and get ready to head on into Charlotte Castle, which Retro is just north of now. And here comes level 11.
5572, I believe. And thus, Lord of the Synth, enjoy your Staff of Rain. You've earned it.
Now, it's very important, and occasionally a runner will forget this. Once you talk to the old man, you actually have to go and open the chest. There have been some rare instances where if you talk to the old man and then leave, he's already got your Silver Harp, and then you have to go back and search for it again in order to try to recoup it.
I actually did not know of that.
Yeah, if you talk to the old man, he takes your Silver Harp, and if you don't search the chest, or if you don't take from the chest, and then if you just head back out, and you essentially go back in, it respawns the old man, and he'll ask for the harp again. He'll pretend like he never got it. So you'd have to go back and reacquire the harp from wherever it was, to then have to come back, give it to him, and actually take from the chest that time around. And you saw the stats there on screen, as well as in our tracker a moment ago, where Lord of the Synth, even with the best sword in the game, Erdrick's sword, merely wouldn't even be like a buzzing of a fly to the Dragon Lord once he gets that far.
Alright, Retro is in the Tablet Cave. Hope he enjoys the upcoming key. At least if he can remember how to navigate it. And
Yeah, I'm a little perplexed at this too. Lord of the Synth perhaps heading into the swamp cave to see what the guardian enemy is? And realizing there's no torch.
And no radiant.
Well, we've got a metal slime, so he hits for 1. Synth hitting for 2. Metal slime still sticking around. Casting a couple of hurt spells. Missing 3 times in a row. This metal slime being very persistent. 4 in a row. Missing 5 attacks in a row.
Fortunately, that's it.
And he is able to take it out, and that's another 255 experience. So that now quickly jumps the experience lead back up to about 1,000 for Lord of the Synth. And Synth opting to return in a very dubious fashion back to the castle. And is going to go acquire the rainbow drop.
Well, remember that no one has the return spell yet, so unless you wanted to do a death warp, this was the way to do it.
So now at this point, if you're Lord of the Synth, do you go for the... No, he's not going for the gold grind yet here either.
Have we seen who Princess Gwaylin's jailer is?
We have not, and I wonder if that's where Lord of the Synth is going now to try to opt for a possible grind, but no, instead leaves the town and heads on over to Brecconary.
This? Oh, purchasing torches, maybe to then go back in.
And to answer Locklear's question in chat, no. Retro does not have Erdrick's sword yet. However, he is in the mountain cave, which does have Erdrick's sword as well as the silver harp.
Retro's in Garen's grave, actually. So here we know that there's the wings, the herb, and... Oh, my mistake. I always mix that intro. The second floor stairs threw me off. Never mind. We're good. We are good. I am not used to commentating 2 seeds in a row, especially in this fashion, folks. I apologize.
To say that things are a bit askew is an understatement, but we're working on getting things together here, despite the confusion. And oh, there's a red dragon, just mere steps away from Erdrick's sword, and Omega able to get away.
But note Retro, he is going for that 5th chest.
Oh, that's right. Erdrick's sword was the upper one. That's right. So he already has it.
That is correct. We have seen Fairy Water, Harp, Sword, and those are the only 3 we've seen in the Mountain Cave. We haven't seen the 4th. Also,
well, the upper level had an herb. I can confirm that. So now we're going to see, ideally here... There. Oh, wait.
There it is. Inside the 5th chest, the magic key. But in the meantime, note where Lord of the Synth is. Chat has already figured it out. That is the jailer spot, and today it's the Armored Knight.
Which is a little on the troublesome side, considering that we've seen that it has the hurt spell, which is a lot better than attack, but it also has the sleep spell.
And unfortunately, Erdrick's armor may offer a number of bonuses, but you are not immune to sleep. As such, we have the physical version of slept and wrecked.
And dueling slept and wrecked, as on the other side, a golem putting Retro Omega to sleep. So now Retro taking a look here, and here we go. So making sure there's enough keys. I think Retro is about to set up a gold grind in Garanham. Or actually, no, there's already one set, apparently.
Wait a second.
Because of the death warp from down in the mountain cave, that makes perfect sense. And an excellent move, a critical hit on Lord of the Synth's part, and that's going to get him up to level 12 here at 5610.
Good level up, but at this point we don't care about the heal spell.
So okay, is he going for the poor man's gold grind, apparently? Or at least was thinking about it, as that chest in the bottom left corner that is normally the death necklace chest, but you can only obtain that once. So if you go back in and try to take it again and again, it has anywhere between roughly 100 to 115 gold. So it's doable, but not as efficient.
Considering how these seeds have gone, any little bit helps.
So Retro now is going to use a torch and head on through the cave and try to get to where the big bucks are, except the green dragon may have a little something to say about it.
Well, considering how crazy this seed has been, why don't we just take a look and see what Sherlock has to offer?
And that looks to be what Lord of the Synth is doing, as Retro Omega still making his way through the swamp cave. And a metal slime. Is Retro going to go for it here? Yeah, why not?
Alright.
But it runs away.
Go ahead again, Furon?
I said, but it runs away.
Ah.
But now there's another one taking its place, and we'll see if he can get the 3 count on it here. So there's 1. Missing at 1, as now an Armored Knight on Lord of the Synth's side. And there's 2. And Retro's going to finish it off and get 255 experience. It's going to get him a little closer to level 11, only about 300 experience away. As Lord of the Synth doing a little explorational maneuver here. And meanwhile, we have a gold grind in action for Retro.
As long as you take from the chest, not search it. There we go, it's all good now. And, WMD88, be thankful we've actually got to this point. The story of this match has been, I'm unofficially banned from rolling a few seeds. We had to re-roll it.
Yes, early on there was a particularly difficult seed that roughly a half hour in, both runners opted to re-roll. And now we have this seed here that we are just under an hour into. And Lord of the Synth with a fairly significant lead at this point. But Retro opting to go for the gold grind here and is going to, if nothing else, go up to about 22,000 or so gold to... Oh, no, okay, stopping at 17,000. So we definitely know that there is a... silver shield that's ideally going to be purchased.
And it just was.
So that'll add 20 total defense, and in this case, an additional 10 over the large shield. And, yeah, nothing else you can really buy there. Although, if he really wants to, he can go back and farm up to another total of 7,700 to look for the magic armor. Not sure where there was one right off the bat here.
I don't recall seeing it. It may have been in the locked shop in Cantlin, which not a lot of runners go to.
So Retro with a full inventory. So I was going to sell something off, in this case the Dragon Scale. Once you sell an item like the Dragon Scale or the Fighter's Ring, if you have already utilized it or if you've already put it on, even if you sell it, you keep the benefits of it, whether it's the 2 defense points for the or the 2 attack points for the Fighter's Ring. So now an Armored Knight deep into Sharlock here. Lord of the Synth just trying to get some information, and well, finds out what was already learned is that the Armored Knight has sleep. And is able to wake up and, oh, Lord of the Synth casting Hurt More and is enough to take out the Armored Knight, and that's going to be level 13 now for Lord of the Synth.
However, it's an ugly level. 1332, if I saw that correctly.
Yes, anything but lead, although that would have been 1337, but either way, not very good statistics whatsoever. So we definitely know we're going beyond 13.
I think Retro is on the path to Cole right now. Because there's a town... Yep, I barely caught Cole, but first we're gonna make a stop in Cantlin.
So Retro recognizes it. And is going to do a little bit of perusing, perhaps going to get the coordinates. I don't believe he has done so as of yet, or I should say the lack of coordinates.
I think this is Retro's first visit here, actually. Meanwhile, Lord of the Synth is still making a dive, so... We still haven't found a fairy ring, or, excuse me, a fighter's ring or fairy flute, so let's at least play a little bit of a game. If you feel that either of those items are located inside the Pyramid Treasury of Sharlock Castle, go ahead and say which chest it is now, either by position or dollar amount. Dollar amount meaning the $60,000 Pyramid Show. Or you could just say it's at the Vanilla Erdrick Sword location, or perhaps one of the 2 chests at the back of Garen's grave. Of course, we may not even get there if this red dragon... No, okay, able to get away.
Well, Lord of the Synth very low on resources, and now we've got a golem that he's able to get away from.
And Retro is about to get the bad news.
So Synth maybe just trying to go down and... No, opting not to go for the treasury. Perhaps going to see what that mini-boss is prior to the Dragon Lord. and is also getting the information of what enemies await in Sherlock, and he's done a pretty good job so far, all things considered.
Well, seeing Axe Knights at the bottom is a welcome reprieve. Or at least it would be if you had extra magic power.
And not quite anywhere close to a position to defense break the Axe Knights, so they're going to be doing quite a hefty bit of damage.
And the Guardian is, of course, Red Dragon.
So I think Lord of the Synth just going to try to chop away at it, and if he kills it, great, and if not, well, it wasn't going to get past much further past that anyway, and it's not going to be enough. So the Fun Police making another arrest here in the Red Dragon taking out Lord of the Synth, but a lot of information abound.
And Retro Omega X is going to regret purchasing that full plate of armor very shortly. Welcome to Cole, home of the dig spot south of the fountain. Here is... Let's try that again. Here is Erdrick's armor. Hope you enjoyed spending that 3,000 gold.
Well, in fairness, there really wasn't much else that it was going to be spent on at this point anyway.
That is a fair point. Already has the silver shield, already has Erdrick's sword.
Already has all the best equipment, and despite that, just 83 attack and 69 defense.
Ooh, Wraith Knights with Dragon Lord Breath, but fortunately, with Erdrick's armor, Lord of the Synth is able to withstand a few of them.
Yeah, Erdrick's armor has a lot of benefits. Not only is it the strongest armor in the game, giving you 28 defense points, but for every step that you walk, you recover 1 hit point towards your maximum HP total. And as if that all wasn't enough, your damage by Fire Breath, Dragon Lord Breath, the Hurt spell or Hurt More spell is reduced by 1/3. And Stop spell is completely negated by Erdrick's armor, so no enemy can cast Stop spell on you. And I feel like there's a 5th thing that I'm forgetting, because there's so many things that it's beneficial with it.
The short version is Erdrick's armor is a game breaker, but a necessary game breaker on virtually all seeds.
Oh, thank you, the damage tiles. I knew I was right. As soon as you said game breaker, that made me think, oh yes, because of those damage tiles that are in Sherlock Castle. So, the swamp tiles that when you step on each one normally does 2 hit points of damage, and the, for lack of a better term, broken glass tiles that tend to walk on and you take 15 hit points of damage, well, those are negated as well by the Erdrick's armor. So given how many of those tiles there are in Sherlock Castle, and we'll see here in just a moment, you can only imagine how many hit points or how much magic you'd have to spend to heal up, considering how many of those diagonally striped squares there are. And Lord of the Synth, I was hoping you'd be able to walk up to help demonstrate that, but instead you're pacing back and forth. Barrier tiles, yes, that's what they are known as in vanilla. And here, just before the hour and 9-minute mark, level 11 now for Retro Omega.
Well, fortunately, with the variety of enemies on this first floor of Sherlock, will help with grinding. Star Wyverns, 1 hurt more is almost always enough, and in case it isn't, you can just bop them on the head 1 turn later.
So getting slept and not quite wrecked is Retro Omega.
Actually, I think Retro was able to cast Stop Spell on the Golem.
He was. After initially getting slept, he woke up and then used the Stop Spell, and that was all she wrote.
It's ironic that we have golems trying to put people to sleep on this seed.
Yes, as the golem, usually they are put to sleep by the use of the fairy flute, which has yet to have been found. Normally it's in the town of Cole in the search spot where the armor was found. And Retro finally taking out the golem, and that is an additional 255 experience. As now closing in on level 14 is Lord of the Synth, a little less than 200 experience away. And I believe that this Armored Knight will leave Lord of the Synth just 7 short, should he be able to take it out here.
That looked right. Ouch.
Yes, 5,625 the target number, and at 5618, just 7 experience short. Where's a magician when you need one?
Sometimes you have to form your own magic.
And an interesting question from Z-Man in chat, what is Retro Omega looking for? My guess is grindable... Oh, wait a minute. We've got the Grave of Garen here. I don't know if he's just looking for...
Could be the fighter's ring.
Maybe the fight... Yeah, maybe... Given how low the strength is, maybe figuring that finding the fighter's ring and getting that extra 2 attack power will be enough, as now level 14 for Lord of the Synth.
But we're nowhere near close. We have to go to 15.
Yeah, and that's with an 11 strength boost. Still 104, so... Oof. So even if Lord of the Synth was to go for the Dragon Lord now and get to that second form, he'd be doing an average attack of 1 to 2 hit points. The Dragon Lord has anywhere between 150 to 165 hit points. That is just mathematically impossible. Even with the high hit points and magic points that they have.
Well, at the very least, Retro is finding a few Axe Knights, so this Garen's grave shouldn't be too bad right now. We just need to confirm what's in those 2 chests.
Yeah, although I think one of the mistakes is that I've seen... Well, I guess mistakes is probably a strong word, but one of the areas of opportunity for Retro Omega as far as improvement would be, at this stage of the game, there's no need to fight Drakehemas, there's no need to fight Scorpions. If you get into those battles, it is a lot quicker to run from them than it is to fight them, get the extra text for all of about, what, 12 to 20 experience? You know, save those for when you're casting Hurt More on an Axe Knight, or when you're going for one of these bigger, you know, more plentiful enemies, or more bountiful enemies in terms of experience and gold. Although in this case, more so experience.
Here's one of the chests. It's the wings. I don't know if we saw the other one.
We did not. Nobody went that deep into the grave as of yet. Although I don't think Lord of the Synth's going there, and we'll see about Retro Omega shortly here. And Retro perhaps forgetting that he just checked the chest a moment ago and doubled back.
I think he did double back. Or, no, in this case it's fine to double back because you have to go in this southwestern staircase. He's on the right path.
Well, yeah, when I say double back, I mean but all of about 2 or 3 steps, and now heading slightly in a different direction than desired, and I guess is trying to perhaps pull up a map of this part of the grave just to get refamiliar with it here.
For those that are new here, you are allowed to use maps and visual aids. You just cannot use anything within the game itself. So no auto trackers, no auto encounter bots or anything like that. You still have to play the game.
Yeah, and one of the few things that are not randomized are the cave and town layouts. So Garenham is going to look like Garenham the same way every time. Garen's grave is going to look the same, and now here we go. We've got level 12 for Retro Omega as he takes out yet another metal slime.
And we also have confirmation that Return was learned at level 12. We have 8 of the 10 spells known at this point.
And that's all the way up at level 14, but it looks like 16, maybe 17 is going to be the way to go here with this seed, depending on how the levels go. So now heading a little bit further into the grave is Retro Omega, and I think it's questionable for him to go after the Stonemen. Very rarely do you see runners challenging the Stonemen, just if for no other reason than the high number of hit points that they have and the amount of resources needed to take it out. And we have the Fighter's Ring at the base of the grave. So that extra 2 attack power, especially given how low our player's strength is, that could be a crucial factor.
With how this seed is going, 2 extra power is... we need it right now, folks.
But now Retro needs to handle the last little bit of business here and trade in for that Staff of Rain, get the Rainbow Drop, and find some sort of efficient place to grind. And Caden noting in chat that Star Wyverns have sleep as well, so maybe they're not necessarily ideal. And yes, as much as I mentioned the strength, the agility also pretty severely lacking.
So right now, we have the ability to take a lot of hits, well, a lot of small hits at least, and the ability to heal from those multitude of small hits. But right now, we don't have the actual, well, strength or attack power to make it through, though this level up on Lord of the Synth side may change things. Nope. 0081. And that's all the spells, folks. Kaiten, you rolled this seed. I don't think this is what we had in mind here.
Z-Man doing his best Empty Eye impression with the 0 strength and 0 agility gains. I love it! Same with Dataplet 01 as well.
This is Dragon Warrior, not Smash TV. Well, with the way this seed is going, this may end up affecting the upcoming schedules here. So let me at least explain what's supposed to happen. At 9 p.m., there is supposed to be a match between High Spirits and McGrew in Dragon Warrior Randomizer. Randomania 2 at 9:30, Lavkian versus Up to NG. There is the possibility that those two matches may be combined into a single match, though depending on how long it takes to get what we need, well, I no longer know. For those that are interested in something other than Dragon Warrior, because admittedly these seeds have been going on longer than expected, 10 p.m. on Randomania 3 is going to be the Legend of Zelda Summer/Fall 2018 tournament, aka the Pentaforce tournament, between Paratrooper 1 and Southern Pretzel.
And then probably in mere moments, although we don't want you to go anywhere, but another Legend of Zelda Randomizer Pentaforce tournament match, Radio Rich G against Tetra.
Oh, I did forget about that one, but I also don't want to send anyone away here. Alright, Retro has finally found, or refound, the Staff of Rain Cave, so now he can get the Rainbow Drop and enjoy the lobby of Sharlock.
In that time frame, a huge experience lead now for Lord of the Synth. Over 4,000 experience ahead of Retro. But now here is the Rainbow Drop for Retro Omega.
Close to 5,000 now.
Yeah, if Lord of the Synth takes out this Red Dragon here, then yeah, you're looking at about 4,900. Now, we'll see how much easier things could be with Retro having the Silver Shield as opposed to the Large Shield, as that is a differential of 10 defense points. And, Caton, the next level, level 16, that is going to be at the target number of 9750, which Lord of the Synth is just under 1,000 experience away from. Meanwhile, Retro is looking to get to level 13, which is at 4125. That is just 319 experience away.
Fortunately, hanging around in the first floor of Sharlock, we don't have to worry too much about dying. We just have to worry about how long our MP lasts so that we can just fight everyone. So, those death necklaces that our runners picked up, we may see them in play. I just realized something. I don't think there's actually a possibility we may not see a death necklace play, folks. And that's due to how the seed started. At the start of the seed, Tangential Castle was surrounded by swamp. You had to walk a number of tiles south in swamp to get to Breckenary. If you equip the death necklace and die, I don't think you recharge enough HP or MP to walk south. Which means this may very well be... I mean, if you put on the death necklace, I don't think this can be beatable if you take a death.
Well, I can give you this bit of info here. With Erdrick's armor, they won't take damage from swamp, and they'll recover 1 hit point per step. So unless they, after a few steps, run into one of those stonemen, for example, that just knock them back to the castle, as Retro now getting to level 13, Unless there's something of that nature, then they should be able to make it down to Brecconary should they need to remove the Death Necklace for whatever reason. There were recent updates that were done for those rare occasions where Brecconary was connected via Tanagel Castle to the other side of the other continent, for example, and there would be no way to access Brecconary and no way to access Charlotte Castle, in which case it would create a soft lock. Those issues have been rectified in the most recent release, version 2.0.6 of Dragon Warrior Randomizer.
I had temporarily blanked about the healing abilities, but thank you for that reminder. This is what calling 2 seeds does to ya.
You are not kidding about that, Wolfman. So now, Lord of the Synth just working on those red dragons. Now Retro taking out, I believe that was a golem as well. And is now heading on over to Charlotte Castle and will utilize the Rainbow Drop, build the bridge. And now has some work to do as they all pretty much have the equipment that they need, but the ginormous experience lead for Lord of the Synth being the difference here. As it's now a 52, almost 5,300 experienced lead. So Retro is going to need to get his grind on, and quickly.
And it doesn't help whenever red dragons start dodging. Okay, level 16. Please be kind. Please be kind. Power 10, Agility 6, HP 4.
No MP, but they've got plenty, so 114, not going to be enough yet.
No, at best we're talking... That's only 3 possible.
Yeah, if Lord of the Synth was to get down to Dragon Lord 2 and take him on now, you're looking at a range of 3 to 7 hit points per attack. And again, the Dragon Lord has a range of 150 to 165 hit points. So, Armored Knight with Sleep, that has been pretty cumbersome over the course of this seed here. There's a reason that the Armored Knights and the Red Dragons are 2 of the toughest enemies in the game, and why they are known as the AK-47 in the case of the Armored Knight, and the Red Dragon known as the Fun Police, as it almost flashed its red sirens on Retro Omega, but able to get a heal more just in time to continue fighting. Meanwhile, Lord of the Synth getting slept by a golem and wrecked.
For those that are curious about the schedule, it has been posted in chat at dq.challenge.com/DWR2018.
So that way you can see all the matchups that have occurred and the matchups that are coming up. As over the course of the weekend, we will be finishing the second Swiss round. And then I believe starting Monday will be the third round. So we have 3 more weeks of Swiss rounds after this. And at the conclusion of those who have 3 wins or better will make their way to the bracket stage of the tournament. And those who go 2 and 3, they will have a last chance play-in, in which they will be able to fill the remaining spots to, I believe, fill the bracket to 24 total competitors out of the 42 currently there. And those with 4 or better wins will have 5 to that second round. And then it's going to be single elimination all the way up until the semifinals, the final 4, which it will then be a best 2 out of 3 for the semifinals as well as the championship match.
And remember, folks, these flags, these conditions that you're seeing here, unless our runners insist on spicing it up with even more swamp than what we're seeing right now, then it's going to be the same flags throughout.
Yeah, a little bit of a twist compared to other tournaments that you see is now Retro Omega heading up to level 14 here at the hour-and-a-half mark. And now looking at the totals and realizing more work to be done, and then some, trailing by 2 levels, and at this point, still about a 4,500 experience lead for Lord of the Synth. So Retro chipping away, but not quite as much as preferred. But I guess at this point, where is the accurate, where's the most accurate and efficient grind spot?
I think that first floor of Sharlock is a decent spot. If you can make it all the way to the basement, plenty of Axe Knights there. But of course, if you do the grinding down there, you're going to eventually run out of MP and then have to make the dive again. So, question is, do you want to spend the time going down there just to go down again?
And interestingly enough, our runners never found Hawk's Nest, so for all we know, there was a nice Axe Knight just sitting there pretty, waiting to be obliterated for our runners to just get level after level.
That's actually an excellent point. I'm reasonably sure Hawk's Nest has to spawn. It's just so strange to not see it yet. I mean, granted,
some corner of the map, and none of our runners happen to stumble upon it, and since it wasn't needed for anything, at absolute most, it may have the Fairy Flute, because we have not found that as of yet, so the Fairy Flute would either be in the Hawk's Nest search spot, or it could be in one of these 7 treasure chests here in Sharlock Castle, but neither of our runners have felt the need to go into that Sharlock treasury.
The only reason why Lord of the Synth would consider it is to get the Fighter's Ring, but we already know that the Fighter's Ring was found in the Mountain Cave.
Deep, deep, deep into Garen's grave, in fact, was the Fighter's Ring.
I keep on mixing...
and the Silver Harp were in the Mountain Cave.
Why do I keep on mixing up those two? Thank you again.
You know, I would probably have forgotten too. I have notes in front of me to keep track of it because there's so many things to keep track of. I mean, you look at all the different treasure chests, there's 30 throughout the entire game. So, it's a lot to keep track of, plus the search spots. There's a lot more things I wish I could keep track of. I mean, what enemies have what spells and skills and things of that nature. So there's a lot of different challenges, to say the least.
The sad part is, I also took notes, and I still read them incorrectly.
You're also restreaming and also doing some administrative coordinating, and you got a lot on your plate at the moment, Wolfman. I just show up here and talk. So I've got a little bit less to worry about in that regard. And yes, Locklear, I try to keep track of those things so we know what enemies are going to be a little bit more cumbersome than others. Like we saw that the Armored Knight, for example, has Sleep, which is a little troublesome, as well as the Hurt spell. The Werewolf that you saw on Retro Omega's screen, that has the Dragon Lord 2 Breath, for example.
Every little bit helps when it comes to cataloging and communicating all this data to all of you folks at home. So at this point, Lord of the Synth is making... Is he heading towards a final floor, or is he possibly heading to the vanilla sword location? I haven't memorized these maps as much, and I don't.
Now this is the traditional path. is now going to be heading the long path here. This is the 5th of the 7 basements.
I need to study the map again. Okay, I recognize where we are now. I get confused because there are 2 split paths you can take if you're... or at least 2 floors where you could easily take a wrong turn. I should say.
Well, yes, there are a lot of paths that can lead you astray from where you're going. Our runners have taken this path quite a bit down to the basement, the bottom basement of Sherlock Castle, and in a lot of cases they've tended to have been a little confused if they've had to double back to, let's say, get Erdrick's sword in its vanilla location.
Da 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 da. Please say it's a good one. 10.
Well, another 10.
4,
okay.
14. 1. I don't know how you would call this. I think with the death necklace, it's doable.
Now, we should probably mention, because I know we've talked about it a little bit, what the death necklace does. When you put on the death necklace, it curses you, which is a problem if you have to go back to the castle because the king will kick you out. But it gives you an additional 10 attack power, but at the cost of 25% of your maximum hit points.
Alright, Pyramid Treasury. Only the Fairy Flute can be useful here. 150, no, gold. 100, Magic Key. 50, gold. 200, gold. 250, nothing. 300, uh-oh, the judge has gotten away. And it's gold.
So that means
the Fairy Flute is in the Erdrick Sword's vanilla location, if it exists.
Or it could be in Hawksness.
It could be there, but I haven't seen Hawksness at all. Which, I'm still not used to that here. Also,
yeah,
I had missed... Go ahead.
Fairy Flute can either be in a search spot or in the treasure chest, as can Erdrick's Token. Erdrick's Token, which feels like a lifetime of...
I'm not sure that was heard clearly. You are correct, though. Erdrick's Token was in the throne room. But... right now, it's just... Ooh, we don't really think much about Erdrick's Token right now. We're right now trying to think about... is level 17 enough? If the Death Necklace is equipped, you will gain 10 attack power in exchange for a quarter of your hit points. The stats would look something like this on screen now. In that case, the attack power would be worth it, and the HP is still respectable.
And with that 134 attack power, you are looking at an attack range on that second form of Dragon Lord of 8 to 17.
That is correct.
And apparently Robo Burgundy is back.
Go ahead.
I said apparently Robo Burgundy is back from what I'm seeing in chat.
I think Robo Burgundy is getting frustrated with how long this has been going on here. We're working on it, Robo Burgundy. So, due to some of the craziness here, we will possibly have just a few minutes for an interview with Lord of the Synth, but afterwards, we may have to throw things over to Retro Mega X a little early. This is going to depend on how quickly Lord of the Synth takes out the Dragon Lord.
It's a tough call when you have a time constraint that tends to go a little long here. We don't want this to be the Randomania or Twitch equivalent of the old Heidi game, for those who remember that. Those probably don't, because that was from about 50 years ago at this point, but that was where a very crucial NFL football game was cut out before its conclusion so that NBC could air the movie Heidi.
I remember the story, I forgot the specific name. Alright, Retro is going for the Armored Knights, hoping that this is a more consistent grind. Lord of the Synth approaching Dragon Lord 2.
And thank you, some of you in chat, for either remembering or just cringing at the fact that I'm making such a historic reference, for lack of a better term.
Here at Dragon Warrior Randomizer Commentaries, we reference a whole bunch of things, from game shows to sports to anything in between.
And Caden noting in chat that the Fun Police is definitely out for blood.
The Red Dragons want to defeat more would-be warriors.
So now Lord of the Synth heading southward here, and I would imagine that this is going to be that run.
Certainly has most of the stats. Let's see, 12 heal mores left if I've counted correctly.
Yes, just one hit point shy of 13. However, that does mean that 2 heals could be used almost as herbs ahead of time. And meanwhile, as these dives have been going on, Retro has pretty efficiently been working on catching up here, as the lead has dwindled to, in terms of experience, to about 3,200. And now down to about 3,000.
Back to the Red Dragon Guardian, because of course he has to show up once more.
Oh, and a dodge to start things off.
Alright. Guardian down.
So now one last herb, so Lord of the Synth out of herbs at this point. Could use 2 heals to freshen up before the Dragon Lord here. Oh, but not good encounter rate along that last pathway, is now 3 encounters in 4 steps. But now makes it to the Dragon Lord, and...
using a heal more immediately.
And now is going to put on the Death Necklace.
Alright, 95 MP. That's 11 heal mores. Depending on this opening, let's see what we get. We get Stop Spell for the first one. That helps a little bit. Hurt More does not. Alright, Ferran, you're better with the numbers. How doable is this?
Well, let's see about the back attack here. There is no back attack, so we shall see. Now we're starting off with 8. And gonna have to use a heal more here Ooh, and another max attack is now 15, so that's now 23. And up to level 16 goes Retro. Now another 11, so we're up to 34. This is looking about 50-50 at this point. Another 13, that puts it up to 47. He's getting the high rolls, so that's a good thing here. All but the first one has been double digits. We're up to 73. And now another 11 for 84. So now down to 4 heal mores. Oh, and there's another single-digit 9. We're up to 93, and there's an attack for 49. That's where that low defense comes into play. There's a big 16. That gets us to 109. And now just 2 heal mores left. It's still pretty close. Another low roll of 9. That's 118. Remember, it can have anywhere between 150 to 165. Probably going to be able to get a double attack here, possibly. No, he gets an attack of 48. So that 15 puts us up to 133. Used his last heal more. There's another 15 for 148. And he is going to do it at 157. So with a little bit of room to spare, Lord of the Synth is going to take it here.
Everyone, get your GGs out in chat, for Lord of the Synth has finished this unintentional dual run with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 47 minutes, 18 seconds.
Well, this certainly was an interesting one, to say the least. And now we're going to see where things go from here, as Retro going to be finishing up. I believe we're going to see if Lord of the Synth will have a chat with us here, a little post-game chat. Meanwhile, Retro continuing the run here.
And apparently, all seed rolls were going to be bad today. Chitin, law of averages kicked in for you, I'm sorry. But now we have Lord of the Synth here. GG, and my apologies.
Yeah, what an interesting turn of developments. It was essentially a battle of attrition for both you and Retro Omega. Talk a little bit, I guess, about the first seed to start off with, and then we'll get into this current one here. What's going through your mind, 20, 25 minutes in, where the most you'd killed was a ghost in that first seed? Lord, I don't think, I was going to say, I don't know if the push to talk is being pushed to problematic here.
Let's try that again.
There we go.
Off by 1 key.
The abyss there.
All right, so with 5 strength, I knew I couldn't do squat damage to anything unless I found a slime, so I would have to farm crits, and I had 500 gold, so I tried to make a mad dash for a town. Then I rebuilt for strength agility, and my strength agility build had less agility than my strength HP build. So yeah, 20-25 minutes in, you know, my opponent's got to be having the same problems I have, but what if he got lucky and got a few more crits and is now 15 minutes ahead?
Well, you'll be able to see it in the restream, but I can tell you that that was not the case, and in fact, you had an advantage in that early on you had saved and were resetting, whereas Retro was just letting that initial gold chest kind of dwindle down to nothing. And a little bit of a peek into the crystal ball, I'll just say that you probably wouldn't have wanted to find a slime in that awful early seed.
Dragon Lord 2 breath.
You gotcha.
Yeah, I honestly was starting to sweat because I was really trying to hold on to that gold. And then, you know, I got gate kept by like a knight and an axe knight 3 steps from Garenham like 3 or 4 times in a row. Then I'm like, I just got to let it go and hope for crits.
And, I mean, the opportunities were there. There were a couple of metal slimes that were floating around, but I believe that they even had some, I think they had Hurt More, which was pretty nasty in that previous seed.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I didn't want to walk all the way and take extra deaths trying to get back to the metal slime, so it was Ghosts and Drakis.
But enough about that seed. Let's let's get into the one that we were able to watch through completion here, and go from there. I mean, I guess where do we start with this one here? So, I guess early on, it's like, all right, the token's there, and we've got some swamp, and that's where things kind of dissipated from there.
Yeah, I was even joking in the race chat before the second seed started. Watch us being in the swamp this time. And the first thing I said was, "Damn it!" So it was a little tricky, but there was that little spot of desert that you could grind on. So it just took a little bit of patience.
Which I would imagine would be a little bit of a challenge after already going through a very hellacious first seed, and then it's all right. Oh, here we go. Now we've got all this to deal with, and I mean, here we are about 2.5 hours after we started here.
Yeah, well, early strength and hurt more made me considerably more patient. Then I got to Sharlock. This was an icky Sharlock.
Yeah, Sharlock wasn't fun.
No, I was. So what was going through my mind is I didn't find Hawksness. And I didn't want to go find it to find a grind spot. So I was grinding in Sharlock, and I did that first dive to figure out what the boss was going to be, because if the boss was Golem, I needed to back out and find Hawksness immediately. And then all those enemies with sleep, all those enemies I can't run from. Good times.
So...
Oh, Chitin, you don't need to apologize. This is what Rando is about.
Well, do I still need to apologize to you for the first seed?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, the seeds were going to be rolled no matter who rolled them, so it's one of those things where you just kind of take the hand that you're dealt. You know, you don't in a game, you don't yell at the dealer for giving you awful cards. So, nor in this case should you take the blame for, or should anyone really take a blame for rolling a brutal seed.
Yeah, exactly. And I see Retro's having some of the same problems I was on that last dive. Just not being able to, having stone men and red dragons chipping away at you. Yeah, I was sweating on that one. Because I knew the numbers. I had plenty of stats to actually finish off Dragon Lord 2 as long as I didn't burn like 4 heal wars on the way down.
Yeah, the hit points and magic points were plentiful in this seed, but the strength and agility, not so much.
Yes, absolutely. And then, despite the fact that Sharlock was behind the Swamp Cave, because I had so many hit points, I figured it was safe to use the Death Necklace. I had enough low rolls that I was really starting to worry that I was going to wipe and have to forfeit. Because I forgot to do a safety save before that last dive because I didn't want to go all the way back.
I'm trying to remember, was Sharlock on the same continent as Tandagel Castle, or was it on the other side of the...
It was not. It was not. It was on the other side of the Swamp Cave, slightly northeast of Garenham.
Oh, yes, that's right. And Breckenary would have been on... Was Breckenary on the other side as well? Because I thought that was...
Breckenary was immediately south of Tanagel, right next to the Jerk Store.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, of all the things I'm keeping track of, town locations and mapping is one of the few things that I haven't quite integrated into my statistical record keeping and analysis and things of that nature.
This is a seed I really, really wish I could have bought a silver shield for, but there was no gold grind available.
Well, it's funny that you mention that, is that there was one, but it was a very unorthodox way of doing so. As because Tanagel led through the swamp cave to the back of Garenham, and there was that gold chest in Garenham, you theoretically could have... well, there were a couple of ways to do it. You could have death warped back from either the Garen's grave or the mountain cave into the throne room, and then depending on how many chests you had opened, could either go into the treasury or go straight through the swamp cave into Garenham. Oh, is Retro falling to the Dragon Lord?
Oh no! Yeah, I saw that chest in Garenham, and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to even think about setting up any possible grind for that. So I just immediately put that out of my head. Why I didn't think of it.
Okay, yeah. Oddly enough, Retro did go for that gold grind and currently has the silver shield. But I guess the question is whether... I mean, for that bit of knowledge that Retro would utilize, there are probably some other combat decisions that were... that could use some reanalysis.
Right.
Things like there were a lot of times where just like the Stone Man seemed to be the enemy of choice for Retro Omega, and given the high hit points that it has, I don't know how recommended it would necessarily be. And then in the later portion of the game, a lot of the lower tier enemies that a lot of other runners would run away from, Retro just decided to fight through, and that tended to allow you to further increase your experience lead.
Yeah, that's interesting. I seeing that he's level 16. Yeah, there are a class of enemies just from experience you start running from a while, because when you're earning 1% of your total experience needed for a level per monster, it's like, yeah, it's just a waste of time. I was smart enough to know I was weak enough against Stone Man to not even bother, because Hurtmore is so unreliable.
And I think in this seed it was a little bit better than half in terms of effectiveness. I think they had 7/16 resistance on it.
Oh, wow. But so I'm never happy if I do a Sharlock grind, because it is kind of slow. Even though I was able to take down red dragons, it just feels so slow. It's like, what if Retro actually went to Hawksness and found, an Axe Knight for 130 instead of an Armored Knight for 172 that likes to sleep me.
And we were having that same discussion here, because neither you nor Retro had found Hawksnest. We have no idea where it is.
Based on, I map by schematic, I don't actually draw it out. Unless it was in some little corner that I must have missed, it must have been somewhere to the northwest of Sharlock, because that's the only part of the map I didn't fully explore.
That could entirely be possible, although I will admit that I was going to say, I don't have a copy of the map, so we will see, I suppose. Or maybe we won't, who knows. Maybe we'll play this seed, and the other seed that got tossed out and re-rolled, that is in the Discord. It has made the Wall of Pain or Hall of Pain in the Seeds of Torture or Delight, definitely more so the former.
Well, I wish people luck on that one. I may not come back to it.
Maybe if I have, I don't know, about 7 hours to set aside, maybe I'll give it a try.
Yeah. This Sharlock, this needed a lot of grinding. I'm looking at my own splits, and I was in Sharlock at 57 minutes 30 the first time, And it was 50 minutes later when I finally took down Dragon Lord 2.
Yeah, no, that's very spot on here as I'm taking a look. And yeah, looking at the other, I mean, you've gotten to level 13 maybe about 5 minutes into Sharlock, and then it took another 9, almost 10 minutes after that. Then another 7 for level 15. Then another 8 minutes. So you're probably averaging between 7 and 10 minutes per level, just because of all the challenges that were in Sharlock.
Yeah, and all the same, yeah, I don't know whether this Sharlock grind was as reasonable as it could have been hoped for, or if I was somehow inefficient, because it felt inefficient. And when I went back down on level 16 and immediately had to burn a heal more on a red dragon on the first basement floor, I'm like, crap, I'm gonna have to grind for 17 now. Which is what you saw me do on the way, because I decided if I was going to do that, I should at least check out the treasury and maybe pick up the fighter's ring. I don't know where that was.
We did find out because Retro went double back to get it, but the fighter's ring was deep into Garen's grave at the very bottom.
Okay, yeah. So I wiped early in Garen's grave, and then I'm like, okay, I'll come back later. And along the way, I ended up finding the mountain cave. And that gave me my go mode items. So I was like, I don't need to bother with those last 2 chests behind the door in Garen's grave.
Yeah, the only thing that we aren't too sure of as to where it was the fairy flute. We were down to 2 possibilities. It was either in
that had to have been in Hawksness.
The Sharlock Vanilla chest.
Oh, yes.
Those were the only 2 unaccounted for searchable spots in the game this seed.
Yeah, and it's possible for Hawksness to have nothing, right?
It is. Just as we had found that there were no coordinates, more than likely because Erdrick's token started off in the throne room.
Right.
It could be possible that if the fairy flute was in the Sharlock Vanilla chest, then Hawksness would have nothing as well.
Yeah, that just makes me feel better about my decision not to gamble on not finding Hawksness.
And speaking of gamble, Retro trying to get a little bit of a boost here and is putting on the Death Necklace before the Red Dragon Mini Guardian.
That takes some guts.
Considering how this seed is going, every little bit helps. By the way, administrative note, this is going to be Retro's one more shot here. If Retro gets through, GG, we're just going to wrap things up and pass you over to the Pentaforce match between Radio Rich G and Tetra Lee. Otherwise, we will send you all over to Retro Omega X's channel for some good luck and vibes as we hopefully see another Dragon Lord defeated eventually.
He's got more magic than I had when I got the Dragon Lord on 17, so I think he's got a good shot, because 110 hit points is plenty.
So at the very least, let's use this time to make sure that you all follow the runners if you haven't already, Lord of the Synth here in the interview booth, and Retro Mega X going for Dragon Lord 2, as well as for Ron Burgundy, who has kept me sane throughout this.
Well, it's a tough job, but somebody has to do it there, Wolfman. So here we are, we've got attacks of 11 and 8 to start things off here with the Dragon Lord. Now we found out that 155 is the number here, so now another 9, so we're up to 28. And still with 10 Healmores left. But a lot of single-digit rolls here, as that's now 37.
Oh, he's getting awful rolls.
This is the 4th consecutive single-digit attack. He's now up to 45.
Did he save before he went and put on the deck necklace? Because he may be about to discover he's soft-locked if he wipes.
Breckenary was just south of Tangier. It's not a soft lock.
Oh, that's right.
So it won't be a soft lock, he just won't be able to utilize the Death Necklace after this run.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't have the presence of mind to remember that. I mean, Breckenridge is pretty much the same distance from Tanager as it is in Vanilla, and for some reason I'm like, I'm risking it all with the Death Necklace.
So at this point, as the magic power dwindles, you have to wonder, is it worth going for a last-ditch Hurtmore?
I think because he has the even number of MP, he's probably going to stick to the tradition here and not go for the YOLO Hurtmore, in a sense, as that has only about a 6% chance of hitting. But now down to 2 Healmores left, and just now getting into triple digits is another 7 now, so it's at 105. So it's going to need 50 more hit points in about... I don't think he's going to do it here.
He has to do the Hurtmore. He's going for the Healmore! And thus, I have to say it.
Oh man, you never like to see this.
Retro thought he'd get ahead, but apparently not, for thou art dead. And in this case, deader than dead.
And there comes the forfeit.
Retro Omega X, good job in trying to make it through this unintentional endurance fest, but there's just not much you can do here.
Yeah, I can't say as you can blame him here. So now, I guess we're gonna wrap things up here, and then I was gonna say, are we coming back here on Randomania with the next Dragon Warrior Randomizer seed in a little bit here, or is that?
Yes. Give it about 30 minutes or so, maybe a little longer. I need to recharge a bit.
Understandably so. I think I need to do the same.
So, with that in mind, please follow Retro Omega X and Lord of the Synth if you haven't. Follow Ferran Burgundy. Don't follow me if you want, just don't do so for the purposes of sending hate mail for the first seed that was rolled tonight.
Oh, will you be serious? Stop now. Like the Bobby the Brain Heenan to my Gorilla Monsoon here. See, there's nothing but praise coming from chat here as far as our work here, so don't beat yourself up even a little bit here, Wolfman. It's it is what it is what it is. What can I say? So that's going to just about wrap things up. Stay tuned. We've got more Randomania action coming pretty much all night here between the Pentaforce tournament for Legend of Zelda and more Dragon Warrior Randomizer tournament action, including a goodie. Oh yes, coming up between High Spirits and McGrew, the creator of this insanity that is Dragon Warrior Randomizer. All that and more coming up, but we're going to take a brief respite here. So for Wolfman 2000 doing the triple duty of restreaming, tracking, and commentating along with me here, I'm Ferran Burgundy saying until next time, may your moves be excellent and your seeds stay classy.
Watch out for who knows what else as we take you over to Randomania 3 for the Pentaforce match in progress. Radio Rich G versus Tetra Lee. Good night, everyone, and hope to see you back here in 30 minutes for the quad match that has been set. High Spirits versus McGrew and Lavkian versus Up2NG.
Thanks for watching, everyone.